We're alive.
No countdown, folks. We are getting in on our back ends.
Oh my goodness, Tracy, how are you doing on this 20th EP on this 20th day of November?
I'm doing well. How are you doing, Wulwyn? I mean, more importantly, how are you doing? Because I know the tech stuff. Well, tech. I mean, it was
It was a power.
electricity issue, power issue.
Yeah. I think there's a breaker that went bad and then it trips. So I called the electrical guy. He should be coming shortly. But hey, we're back on. And guess what?
What's up?
I was resting prior to the show. And I said to myself, I hope, and this is the first time I've had this in years, in a year or two. And I said, I hope the power will be okay today. Um, I have a feeling something's, I don't know. And I'm sitting here prepared every single thing for the show. And I'm going, okay, set, check, check, check. And then I am manifesting, sister.
Well, that or it's your intuition. I mean, I think that this is actually a great place to launch into as far as conversation, because people do this all the time. They're like, oh my gosh, I just manifested. Like, it's like, you're not that powerful.
I know, I
It takes
know.
more
I'm
than
just
just you to
using
make
it.
things happen. But what that can be is intuition, right? That's a perfect example of an intuitive data hit. And when we get those things, it's like, okay, it's information, and we'll see if the information is valid. I mean, most of the time when it comes in like times like that, it is
Oh my
valid.
goodness.
Um, and so we're picking up information that is there, like, because remember, I mean, from a place of quantum physics, there is no time. Everything that we've ever experienced in the past, are experiencing now in the present, or will experience in the future, has already happened.
Mm.
Or another way of putting it, it's all happening at the same time. Right. And so it's happening, it's in active happening. And
Mm.
so you're picking up what's happening, even if you in your linear timeline haven't consciously gotten there yet. And it's a bit of a mind meld, I know, for people who are like, whoa, right out of the
I
gate.
know.
But as I remind people, this is exactly what that four intelligence piece is about. This is intuition, right? Intuition is vital data. It's important. Um, and we can look at it as manifesting, things, but again, we're not that singularly powerful. We're powerful, don't get me wrong,
Come
but
on, I'm
singularly,
powerful.
yeah, we can't make those one thing. The rest of the universal forces and God have to be at play with that.
There
So
you go.
yeah. We're not the only deciding one, but I think that was good intuition. It
I
means that
know.
your
Have you?
intuitive
Go
hits are
ahead.
on.
No, keep going. It means what?
It means that your intuition is heightened, and it is heightened at this time because things are a little cray cray in some ways. Down is up and up is down. And I was telling a client today, I said I really have been trying to impression upon people to be in this time from a place of neutrality, because if we try to
Mm.
double down too much on what we think is the facts, right? This is how it
Mm.
is. This is how it will be. This is how, that kind of thing. We're going to be surprised. we're going to be, in some cases pleasantly, in some cases not so pleasantly, but nothing is as it seems, because we are becoming, right? We're in massive transition. And at the same time, we are also learning how to, I believe we're being given a chance to learn how to navigate based on our intelligences. When we're getting intuition coming through, when we're getting instinctive intelligence, sharing something with us, when we're getting creative ideas, right? We're in a time of massive innovation because the systems we've been operating within are not serving us anymore,
Mm.
right?
You
So
wanna?
we need to innovate. We need to transform.
Have you shared
Have I shared what?
the show?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Wow, you're way ahead of me. So I
Oh,
did that now.
I was putting notes
But
on there like, folks, we got tech issues. We'll be on in a minute.
but
I
here,
got you. I got you.
Thank you. Watch this. So I put on a shirt, uh, and I put the shirt on. I go, nah, this is too hot. Even though the AC's on, this is too hot for me. So I go back and 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 I see a T-shirt, and I say, you know what? I'm gonna wear this T-shirt. I'm gonna wear this T-shirt today. And this T-shirt is speaking to me right now, Tracy. Um,
Oh,
and when
yeah.
I and just now when I was moving with my head, swerving, just what am I gonna do? Calm down. And you call and say, "Hey, Wulwyn, what's going on? Are you okay?" It was the first out of you. You're not late. What's going on? Are you okay, Wulwyn? I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. I'm trying to cut certain things right, ready. And just now when I sat down as we're talking, I I remembered the shirt that I have on. All right, it says joy. Uh,
Period.
joy. Period. Yeah, yeah. You know what? I never noticed the period. I noticed it, but I never said it after. Right? Joy. Period. Whatever it is, and I I've been thinking over the past few weeks, been meditating on. I think I may have shared it last 2 weeks ago. Every obstacle is something for us to overcome, not to cry on, right? And once we can see obstacles as opportunities for us to overcome, for us to have assistance, and here you were, uh, going, and it's so good to have people that are in your environment who understand that this thing that we're doing, yeah, we're doing it. It's a service, etc. But it's not a job, or it's not something over my head that goes, if you don't do it today, you're gonna die. The people are waiting to hear from you, and no, it's not. And I'm so grateful, and I pray, that this is just one aspect of my life, and there are multiple aspects: family, friends, professional, um, athletics, fitness, all these different things. I pray that we have individuals in our lives who can come alongside and go, hey, everything's good. And that's the first question that needs to be asked if the norm isn't observed, rather than how I feel about you being absent, how I feel about you not doing what you're supposed to do, how I feel when I feel I've been victimized. And Wulwyn, it's 12 o'clock here, and I've been waiting for you. What's wrong? You wait. And Tracy, I gotta keep going. I see you want to say something, but I started to do certain things recently. Yeah, Jojo, that's true. Joy is a choice. Joy is a choice. I started to do certain things recently, and oh, Tracy, I after I got through introspecting, oh my goodness, it was. mm, I had a cut butt. Let me just say that. Here goes, in a good way, good chastisement, good straightening up, good discipline. I'm sitting down, and over the past few months, when I go and play basketball, in fact, everywhere I play, while playing, if I get upset, I abuse. I mean, I go in and I go. So if someone's fouling, I'm turning to the ref and saying, "Call the boop foul, right? Call a foul." The other day, someone came to me and said, "Hey, well, you have to pay," and I already paid the dues for the year. So I go, "Why are you asking me that? Why are you asking me? You know I've already paid. What's wrong with you? Go and ask." So boop boop boop. And then every time I do it, I turn and go, and I run back and say, "I apologize. I apologize. I'm sorry." I think we talked. I don't know if we talked this before, but listen to this. Listen to this. Last two days ago in the morning, I get up and I say, "Hey, let's talk." I go, "Why am I using such language when I know I'm not supposed to be using such language? I know I'm not supposed to." So I'm having this conversation with the Holy Spirit, right? It goes, you have a spirit of entitlement. I go, what? A spirit of what? You have a spirit of entitlement. And I go, more, please. You feel as though you know how to play basketball more than all of these guys who are in the old timer space. So if anybody touches you or does something to you, you feel you're so entitled that no one should touch you. No one should come and ask you if you paid, knowing the person is the one you pay to. You don't ask me. What's wrong with you? So after your spirit of entitlement is there, you know what you fall off? What? Pride. I'm like, are you kidding me? Yeah, you've been pride. You're becoming prideful here. And then the last one was you got to get some humility in there, right? You just got to know you cannot overlook anybody based on anything, period. So watch the end of this. I'm sitting down and then I broaden the scope of this country, Liberia. There are certain people in Liberia who would look at someone who has traveled out of the country and returned and place them on a pedestal. Certain people, certain groups. There are other groups who they're the opposite. I don't care if you've been wherever, you're here. So reverse pride there happening. The person who has returned, if they're not careful, they have this entitlement. It shows when the police stops. It shows when when law engages. It shows with all the different rules and regulations that you say to yourself, I don't care. I mean, do you know who I am? Is how it's said. And then I start to connect, and it came down to this: before you ever turn and look at another person and say, look how that person is acting. Oh my goodness, please look at yourself. Because Traci, after I I got the full picture of myself, there was a distaste in my mouth about me that I said I cannot stand to be with me right now. And I had to do some cleansing. I just had to sit and really ground myself and grace myself after a while so that I could really change and start to see. Guess what? As I start to walk now, I'm still testing it and I pray that I pass. Jokingly saying it. I pray that I have changed and go into my true north. When I look at people, I go, you're a human being. You're this, regardless of how they are behaving.
I'll let that one sink in for a second. It reminds me of something I heard recently. It says if we could see people for the souls that they are and not the bodies they live in, we would be interacting differently with one another. And that's what that reminds me of.
Mm.
You know, if we saw, you know, if we were talking and we were interacting with each other's souls and not each other's physical, even how we're acting is the physical, you know.
Mm.
Um, I love that so much. I love that. I appreciate that I always appreciate that about you, Wulwyn. That vulnerability of like, let me allow my human story to be the leading point, right? Let me speak through my experiences and let me do so in a very, very humble and vulnerable way. So I think
Mm.
that's great. It's great in leadership. It's great in life. So it reminds me when you were saying you were uncomfortable being in your own skin. I was talking to a client again, the same client this morning. So I
Mhm.
think we need to make a distinction between gratitude and being satisfied. Because I think many times we consider those things being one and the same. So if I'm not satisfied, I'm not grateful. Or if I am
Mm.
satisfied, I am grateful. And they're not. They're distinctively different because you can be not satisfied with yourself, which you were in that moment. You were not
Mhm.
satisfied with who you and how you were being. But you could be deeply grateful for the experience. And the same thing is true when, like, what she was expressing with me, or expressing to me, was I literally manifested this job. I worked for a year. You know, you and I talked about it for a year, and I created the job opening, the exact kind of thing I wanted. And now I'm sitting wondering if it's what I want. And I said, that's okay to not be satisfied with what you created. Because when you created it, you were in a different place. It doesn't mean you're not grateful, or maybe it does. I mean, let me ask you that question. Are you grateful for the job you created? Oh, yeah, absolutely. Has it brought you tremendous opportunities and all that? Oh, yes, yes, yes. So are you grateful? Yes. So you can be grateful and not satisfied, because we're constantly changing. I think this is the time we're in. If we've been in systems that have led us to believe that when you get to this point, then you'll be safe. If you pay this money to the insurance company, then you're safe if anything happens to you, because the insurance company will come in and take care of it. If you have a certain amount of money in the bank and you have, you know, compounded interest on it, then you're safe. You know, and it's an illusion. All these systems we've come to rely on, it's all been an illusion, and we're going to find that out more and more. We've already found that out, and we're going to continue to see where what I just said is true, because it's not about the systems, the reliance on others, whether it's a system, a person, a experience, or whatever. Like, once I manifest that job I want, then I'll feel safe and secure, only to come, you know, to find that 2 months into it, you're like, I don't know if this is really what I wanted. Now that I'm having the felt experience, that's okay. It doesn't mean we're not grateful. It just means that we change. We change every minute. I'm a different person now, and now I'm a different person, and now I'm a different person, and now I'm a different person. So what we might have wanted a year and a half ago isn't necessarily what we want today. So I said, so what you want to pay attention to is be neutral. Take the information as a data point. I'm feeling differently. How am I feeling differently? Why maybe am I feeling differently? And more importantly, if I were to dream something else that I feel more aligned with, what would that look like? Because guess what? We're always in a position to be manifesting something else. And it doesn't mean what we have isn't good enough. We can add to what we already have. Or if it's not working, we can choose something else. And I think the systems we've been living in make us feel like we have to stay in that system, right? And if we stray from that system somehow, I've bought into that system, and now I'm not feeling comfortable in the system, and so but I can't leave that system. That would be wrong, because a lot of the conditions around systems are also, once you're in the system, you need to abide by that system, and you need to stay in that system, even when the system is no longer serving you or anybody else around you.
Yeah.
Right. And so again, this is an individual thing. I'm not saying staying in systems is bad and getting out of systems is good. I'm not saying that. I'm saying when you feel the shirt doesn't fit anymore, that's a data point. And if we just sit there and go, no, my mother gave me this shirt. And this, I wanted this shirt. I wanted this shirt when I was 12, and my mother bought it for me, and it was a special moment. And I know I've grown out of it, but this shirt, I am still wearing this shirt because, like, you know what I mean? If we double down on that, it's going to be uncomfortable. I mean, not only is it going to be uncomfortable in the sense the shirt's too, like, many sizes too small, it's going to be uncomfortable going out when you got a belly shirt and you're 45 years old. You know, I mean, it's going to be uncomfortable for everybody involved, like, whether you're fit or not. You know, I mean, so that's what this is making me think of, is we are always being given the opportunity to up level. And up level can look however it needs to look. It's more important about how you, like, if you're getting the data, there's reason. You know, you're getting that instinctive hit to go to God, to go to the Holy Spirit and say, I want to have a conversation, please. And through that conversation, you're getting more data, right? Because when you open yourself up, then you're open and you're curious, you know, to receive. And then you receive and you have more information, and that information becomes illuminating. And then that illumination brings more data. I feel uncomfortable in my skin.
Yeah.
And then that data leads to action, to more data, which leads to, I mean, this is how it works. And this is always how it's been meant to work.
Mm-hmm.
This is how when we were little, before we were fully conditioned, we were just open vessels of curiosity constantly. Right. And it was an irritant sometimes to the older people around us. But why? But why? But what? But what? But basically, what we're asking is, I just want more information.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm trying to connect the dots here. And
Yeah.
then we start to shut down as we get older, and we just rely on the systems to do the work for us. And as long as I'm tied to the system, then I'm doing the right thing. Or as long as I'm tied to this thing that I decided years ago, I'm doing the right thing, even though it feels really awkward right now. It felt good 10 years ago, but I'm not so feeling that way now. But yet if I don't abide by it, I'm not grateful. I'm not this, I'm not that. No, you can be grateful. But if you're getting a data hit that you're not satisfied, don't ignore it. Right? And be neutral at the same time. You don't have to go changing it in the moment. Just observe it. Let it in. Let it in. Let it in. Just like little kids. You don't see my puppy. I watch him all the time. It's like, what's that? What's that? I mean, he'll go. He is fascinated with everything. He'll just follow you around for the sake of being somewhere where he might see something he's never seen before. And it's so stinking cute. Sometimes annoying, but pretty much cute most of the time. Because he's just like, what's that? What's that? What's that? And if we can do that as this very volatile change, I mean, really all this time is showing us this is how it's always been. We've just been in an illusionary space where we haven't been seeing it. It's always been this changeable. Life has always been this. It's just they're taking the lid off of the veil that has kept us from seeing that life has always been like this.
I like that. As you were talking about, as we grow up and we get stumped, we get whack-a-moled when you ask your questions, they go back in your place, go back in your place. And one thing I like about that game is it doesn't stop. Something pops up again, and pops up again. I'm like, can't this thing malfunction? Boom, boom, right?
Then you would be enjoying the game.
True. But I mean, look at how we become so conditioned in marriages, in friendships, work, in collaborations with individuals that when you do something, you get the anti or you get the repercussion. Boom, done. So you say, okay, I don't want to get these repercussions anymore, so I will stay in my place. I saw a post on Facebook today, and I just got so riled up. I don't know who wrote this, but they said a woman who has had multiple partners cannot be a good wife. And I'm laughing, looking at it, and I don't know how that came on my Facebook feed, but maybe to discuss it or to talk about it. When I saw it, I said, "Oh my gosh!" And then I looked under and I saw the person who wrote this is supposed to be given a Nobel Peace Prize because they have some. And I laughed and I said, wasn't it men that she was sleeping with? And sometimes the same man over and over, which means the man, just what you're saying about the woman, is highly applicable to the man. But for someone to write that and to have individuals support, I mean, I wanted to write, but it reminds me of a story of a donkey, a tiger, and a lion. The donkey says the grass is blue. The tiger said it's green. The grass is blue. So let's go to the king, the lion sitting there. They come down to the donkey's screaming, "Hey, lion, more, lion, more. Is the grass blue or green?" Lion says it's blue. And for that, the punishment is, tiger, you stay quiet for 3 years. Donkey starts told you the grass was blue. He goes. Tiger approaches lion. Lion, what's the color of the grass? He said green. I said, but why did you agree with him and you punish me? He said, because you're so stupid that you're taking your time to engage with stupid. So I'm punishing you for not understanding your mind, and it's you're wasting your time and using your words. So because of that, I'm punishing you. So as I was reading that, I said to myself, nah, I cannot be a tiger going with this donkey and come in and write anything under there. So let's get a bigger picture. As we are engaging daily, look out for these donkeys. Because they will take your time in. I mean, they will take your time and it will consume you to the point, if you're a producer, you'll be spending all your time consuming that. Hmm. So, as we're conditioned, I pray that, I pray, I pray that as we are engaging, in fact, I'm getting a question is forming for you, Traci. Here's a question. First, I'll make a statement. I think when you truly know your purpose, when you have those repercussions and those roadblocks on you not being in the right place, you're speaking above your grade, you shouldn't be talking. If you don't know your purpose, those things can affect you to the point of stopping red lights. Whereas when you do know your purpose, so I can put it right back in your face. Traci is a disruptor. She's not going to accept. She's not going to accept it. Period. She's going to look and say, no, that's not right. But prior, Traci is looking like, why are they talking to me? When Traci grew into who God made her to be, how dare you come and tell Traci, whack a mole, stay in your place? You can't. So until you know your purpose, you cannot, you can accept all of these waste into your system. But let's come to this. How for someone who, is there another way for someone to disagree with what the system is saying if they're immature to their purpose? If they
They'll
don't know it?
struggle. Yeah, they'll struggle to do it effectively. It doesn't mean we can't, like, to the point of what you said to me, about me as a disruptor, 100%. Once I had embraced my disruptiveness, then I was actually less bull in a china shop as a disruptor. In other words,
Mm,
I was less bullish as a disruptor and more peaceful in my disruption, because that's what embracing yourself allows. It you have a certain quiet confidence, in the sense that you don't have to prove yourself to anybody. You don't have to, how you can always tell when people are misaligned, in an argument, let's say, and that they haven't totally owned their side of the fence, and they'll yell, or they'll raise their voice, or they'll be more like, they get just very aggressive in their stance, because what that really is doing is that power of the aggression is to make up for the fact that they don't have that sustained power of understanding within them.
wow.
And so you don't need to, overcompensate if you've owned it. And I think when you have this peaceful, and I really feel like I'm very discerning, and back to what you were saying, which I absolutely love. Yeah, when you hang out with asses, you become an ass. Um, Excuse my language. I'm talking donkeys here.
You would, guess what? That's what
Um, that's what I just kept thinking. And
I, Traci, you're a trip. Go ahead, sister.
yeah,
Go ahead.
and it reminds me too of, like, you become like the five closest people you hang out with. So if you're going to be distracted by an energy that isn't aligned, you're choosing to be distracted, you will become a part of that energy, and that is your
Mm,
choice, right? You made that choice. And
mm,
so I think when we realize that, we can choose distraction, like, why am I responding to this, or why am I not responding to this, because it works both
correct.
ways.
Yeah.
When we're discerning, because sometimes I'm called to disrupt, and if somebody's being a donkey,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm going to think about how I do that, right? Because my daughter just called me the other day and said that she was like, "I am so mad, Mom." Like I pick up the phone, she's like, "I'm so mad." That's how she started the conversation. And I said, "What happened?" And she told me, and it was this whole run-in with this teacher at school who basically called her out on something she wasn't supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
And, she was like, "He was so disrespectful," and all of that. And I said, "Okay, well, there's two separate things as I hear it going on here. There's the how you were treated, but there's also you do realize that he had every right to call you out because you were not doing what you're supposed to be doing." Right. So we need to be accountable and responsible
Yeah.
to our part of the engagement. Right.
Yeah.
I can't believe he pulled me aside. And I said, "Really? Did he have a right to? Were you really not doing something you were supposed to be doing?" "Well, yeah."
Mm.
Okay. That's one thing. So you need to own the fact that he had every right to call you aside and pull you into this conversation. Right.
Yeah.
So, let's not get too uppity about that.
Mm.
But what I'm also
Mm.
hearing you say is that he was very disrespectful. When you tried to explain yourself, he rolled his eyes, all of these things. And I said, all of this is valid, right? He had a valid point, but you have valid points too. And I said, and all of this is not about teaching him a lesson. This is about learning your own lesson in this whole situation.
Mm.
And
Wow.
so if you can humbly within yourself admit, "Yeah, I was not supposed to be doing that thing. And yeah, I kind of did take attitude when I really didn't have a leg to stand on because I was not doing what I was supposed to be doing." Like, I can look at that. And I said, "Well, so this is a great opportunity to look at, do you really want to take on every battle?
Mm.
Because, and if you do feel the need to take it on, how would you maybe take it on differently in the future? If this whole thing didn't go the way you wanted it, then it's usually that opportunity, kind of like you in your conversation with the Holy Spirit. Like, it can be very illuminating when you
Mm.
get honest with the facts.
Mm.
Um, and the facts are not just logical facts; they're also emotional facts. How are you feeling about this? That's
Yeah.
valid. It's give you really good information. What are you sensing about this? What are you embarrassed about? What, like, all of these things that you get to acknowledge. But I think that that's kind of what we're talking about, is that, am I getting caught up because there's some part of me, back to what I think your original point was, is there some part of me that's not fully founded within myself?
Mm.
Is there some part of
Mm.
me that's not fully owned? And it's not to say that we're not going to constantly be learning about ourselves, but when we can land the plane and we can know our own runway,
Oh
and we
man.
can rely on that space to land that plane, we know what we're dealing with. We can be humble to our less than stellar qualities or less than stellar choices, as well as honoring that we have, there's a reason why we may be drawn to communicate something, right, with someone
Mm.
who's not being nice. I said to Maddie, I said, "Honey, even if he was being disrespectful, it doesn't mean you had to be."
Mm.
Right? When somebody else lures us into acting the way they have, that is also a choice. We can't blame them. That person was acting this way. They made me. They don't make you do anything, honey.
Mm-mm.
Nobody can reach in your body and, push the buttons and make you do a certain thing. You're choosing to, we could look at it as lower your way of being to match
Yeah.
theirs,
Acting
right?
with a 5-year-old tantrum.
Correct. What we were talking about last
Mm-hmm.
time. And I said,
Correct.
this is a great, no shame, no blame. This is a great opportunity to learn a bigger lesson, learn bigger lessons, plural.
Mm.
Because I'm proud of you for reaching out. She also knows she's a person that needs to talk it out with other people. And it's literally in her human design. She's
Yeah.
what's called triple split definition, which means, she processes best by talking through it with multiple people because she gets multiple perspectives that way.
Gotcha.
And so she knows that. And so she will reach out and make sure she's processing it so that she doesn't sit on it, and so that she doesn't just also shove it in a corner and not address it. And I'm proud of her for that. And I said,
Mm-hmm.
so if you can, it's not about doing it with me, it's about doing it with yourself. If you can be honest with yourself and be humble to yourself about where
Yeah.
maybe you misstepped in a way you really are not pleased with or not happy with,
Yeah.
or look at what you did that you would want to do differently, but that you can also honor that there was something that made you rise up to have that response, right? You didn't like being disrespected, so you were disrupting that,
Mm.
but maybe you might want to choose to do it a little bit differently next time, right?
Wow. Wow.
You can either do it in the moment, you can go and talk to somebody higher up later. You could just say yes sir in the moment, and then go take it up with the principal or whatever. There's all sorts of ways we can
Hmm.
make change, influence change.
Yeah.
But we want to make sure as much as possible we're doing it in alignment with who we are. And back to your point, we don't know what that alignment is if we don't know who we are.
Mm. Wow. Something you said at the beginning of this conversation about knowing who you are. You said that when you know your purpose, you're not so bullish. Oh my goodness. I was talking to Verlin and I asked her, have you ever, this morning, have you ever uh, used a flow sander? And she goes, no, I've seen you do it. I'm like, yeah, I said, I was talking about subduing, right? And subduing in a positive way, subduing X, Y, or Z in order to, subdue your entitlement, your pride, so that you are and you're engaging properly, right? So she says, no, I haven't. I said, sweetheart, I said it's something that you can't hold so tightly. Because if you hold it so tightly, forget it. You're done. Have you done it, Tracy? Have you done it, Tracy?
And
Have you
I've
sanded?
never, but I know exactly what. And yes, I did it. I've used one in a very small in shop class when I was in high school.
Okay.
And so
I
you
use
have to hover, because otherwise there's a hole in that whatever you're working with.
yes. So you think this thing is uncontrollable. You oh my God, and then you don't know worst thing to yourself. Rather, it's just a feather touch and just I mean, and I told her, I said,
Guiding.
when, yeah, guidance. And when you said, you're knowing your purpose, you're less bullish. I saw the picture. I saw the picture of someone who's in control. I saw a picture. Can you imagine a bull in a china shop that's not putting things where I mean everywhere and breaking and crashing? That is, I'm gonna stick that in my brain to know that I need to be a bull in a china shop, but a controlled bull. Because if I'm a controlled bull, I'm not running behind those donkeys. I'm not running behind those donkeys when one passed me by. I'm like, what do you, what, right? Rather, I'm focused. Uh, wow, don't take on every battle, something you said. And when you said that, I remembered last night. So I asked my mom a year ago, can you, I wasn't in the country and I told a buddy of mine to go to get the business registration of the nonprofit. And I said, take it to my mom. It's like, okay. So he brings it. He tells me I've taken it to her. I'm like, okay, excellent. Thank you. I come to mom about 6 months ago. I said, Mom, do you have that? She says, no, I don't. I'm like, I said, and I called him, did you give it to my mom? Yeah. So I said, okay. So I had to pay double because of something that, I didn't have the proof of last year's registration. So I had to pay double. And I asked her, Mom, can you find this thing for me? Something else, completely different. She says, I usually put everything in here. So she opens the drawer, she brings it up, puts it on her bed, and I'm looking through, and boom, I see this document. And I go, but isn't this the document that you said you didn't have? She said, who said that? I don't remember. I'm like, okay, Mom. I put it on the side, I dump it on the bed. I'm like, I said, you made me pay extra money for this. I'm like, what did you say? None, Mom. So we keep going back and forth. I find what I'm looking for, put it back, put it in, and I take my document with me in the room. When I get through using what she had given me, she comes back and says, give me that other document. I'm like, no, I can't give it to you. She says, well, give it to me because I need to keep it in a safe place. And I go, no, it's not safe. It's in a forgetful place. You forgot it. So how am I going to keep it to you? I said, leave. So she leaves. And then it clicks to me. Wulwyn, you don't really need that document anymore. I said, why don't you give it back to her so she has this sense of I'm the safe place. It's going to do something for her. This sitting in the room doesn't do a thing for you because it's expired. So I take it, I knock on the door, rap on it, really. Who is it? I said, who it can't be. I open it up. I say, here you go. I say, you win. She said, I thought so. Look at you. And you could see the smile on her face. I'm like, and as I'm walking back, I go, that didn't take anything from me. There are so many things that we encounter, and there's the right way and the peaceful way to do something. The right way was to reprimand this lady and say, you've kept this thing here and I paid double and da da da. You're not keeping this ever. And she's gonna go in her room around 2 a.m., wake up and go, oh, let me review my day. And I'll be a data point that goes, oh, look at that. And it's gonna, I don't know, something. But she's the same person who would get up and go, oh wow, I am still the keeper of papers. Because that's who she calls herself. She keeps things and she hides things in the proper places. And when you're ready, she gets it, right? As we're engaging, Traci, I just pray for maturity and wisdom, right? The grace to have wisdom for certain things that when we're doing, we're going, this doesn't really mean any, not that it doesn't mean anything. This, I can let someone have this so that they can have their day. Make sense?
It does. Well, and it's not even our place to let them have it. It's like, I'm going to be the bigger person because I'm going to let them have it. It's
correct.
Like, let's go back to the whole pride and we need some humility and entitlement and all that there. I think what I'm hearing you say too is making a choice. I mean, it's always what I look at is the investment towards relationship. We're either building a relationship or we're tearing it down. In our interactions, when we do this hierarchy, I know better than you, or I have the truth and you clearly don't, or whatever. It's a hierarchy. We're setting up a hierarchy. Those who know and are better are at the top, and those who don't are closer to the bottom. And if we want to get out of polarity and hierarchy, we need to not do that. So it's more about, I think, recognizing, am I going to put this thing that I have, this energy expenditure? Okay, so I'm coming into all my engagements at any time with energy that I can put into something. Am I going to put it into the bucket of relationship, or am I going to put it in my own bucket? Because when we choose that idea of I know best, or I have the proof, or I, right? We're choosing ourselves over the relationship, and that's fine, but we need to be clear on our choice. Because it's kind of like, if I remember, I don't know if it was a pastor or somebody using this analogy one time. I was listening, and it's like, marriage is a trinity. It's not about the two of you. It's about the two of you and the relationship. And every time you each choose to pour into the relationship sustains the two of you. And so it's I'm not looking at you across the table saying you're responsible for my happiness and you're not doing the same for me. We're saying, as if that relationship is a bank account, if we both put into that bank account, there'll be more for both of us, right? And so that's the way I like to look at it, is in this engagement, and sometimes, I mean, I'll just be blatantly honest. Not that I don't care about them as a human, but sometimes it's like, I'm not choosing to give my energy to that person because it's, in my opinion, better served elsewhere. Right? That person's not giving me what I really need or want or feel is valuable. Right? Like the person you said, was putting stuff on Facebook that you're like, some people were like, yeah, that's great. I'm going to engage with that because that's something that resonates with me. You immediately read it and go, I don't want to pick up what that person's putting down. So then if I don't want what they have, then I'm not going to exchange what I have for that.
I get
And
it.
so it's a choice, right? It's like if we were at the marketplace, we're at this big market and there's tons of things to
Wow.
buy. We're hopefully discerning. We're not putting our money down at every single stall for every single thing.
Mm.
Right? We're either looking at our list, and our list is like aligning, right? When we look at our grocery list and we get the things on our list that we've already pre-established, those are things we want, right? They will serve us in a certain way. And so that's how we make our choice. But if we think about things on a grocery list, like things we've already established are in alignment. If we know who we are and what's aligned with who we are and what isn't aligned with who we are, then it's like having that list. And so when we go out in the world and we could be spending our energy just like money in the marketplace, we're going to say, is that worth my energy expenditure? Sometimes it is, because even if it's a challenging engagement, there's something we feel passionately about sharing. Even if we don't get the exact same thing in kind, what we're going to get is a feeling of purpose, is a feeling of, so it may not even come directly from that person. It might just come from the engagement itself.
Wow.
Is that I was able to speak up. That's what my daughter said in the end. She goes, one of the biggest lessons I got from this thing that I just told you about, Mom, is that I've always been the yes, sir, no, ma'am, kind of person. And something struck me that I was triggered in, that I was being so
Wow.
disrespected for no reason, just because I'm a kid.
Mm.
Doesn't mean I need to be treated with the eye roll and even if I were wrong, I don't need to be treated that way. And she said that was the first time I remember actually standing up
Wow.
to somebody of authority because I didn't like the way I was being treated. And I said, that was worth your energy expenditure then.
It was.
Because there's something in that moment you wanted to prove to yourself. When push comes to shove, I can actually stand up for how I want to be treated, regardless. And I said, and I'm proud of you for that. I had the same experience when I was about her age with a cop who was trying to stop me from going up to a party at my grandmother's house, but they were told not to let teenagers up this road because they would go up and smoke weed, in the mountains and stuff. My grandparents lived on the side of Lookout Mountain in Golden, Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
And so he didn't believe that I was going to this adult party, and he stopped me right at the base of the turn where my grandparents' house was like right above where we were.
Mm-hmm.
And he told me to turn around. And I said, why? And he said, because you're not allowed up there. I said, what if I lived up there? He said, do you? Can you show me your driver's license to prove you do? I'm like, well, my grandparents live up there. They're having a party and they're expecting me. You need to turn around, miss. And so I argued and he made me get out of the car. And as I was getting out of the car, I saw somebody on the balcony at my grandmother's house. I just started yelling, hey. And he's like, what are you doing? And the cop was like, what are you doing? And the person comes over. I said, could you get my grandmother? She's the one who lives there. So the next few minutes, this cop doesn't know what to do at this point. And so she comes over the railing and she's like, Traci. And she's like, officer, is there something wrong? He's like, is this your granddaughter? She says, yes. And he says, okay. So he lets me go and he follows me up and, and I was, like, I'll shut him. And my grandfather met us at the top of the driveway and he gave me what for, and he apologized to that officer. And, I think about this today, that officer knew he had done something that wasn't right. I didn't have to prove that to him. I mean, I didn't have to turn around and go, see, you were wrong.
Yeah.
He knew.
Wow.
And yet the other piece to that was you need to treat people with respect, young woman, no matter how they're treating you. So find a way.
Wow.
And so there were two lessons that day, is find the way forward that's respectful as much as possible, right? Because you want to be comfortable in your own skin. You want to know that you didn't become some base person. And I think in
Mm.
reality, I didn't disrespect him. I just went over him. So maybe that was disrespectful. I just didn't listen to him because he wasn't listening to me.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, yeah, whatever. Hey, but I could understand my daughter in that moment because
Mm.
I realized I needed to have that lesson at that time in my life.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, I needed to be bold enough to be like, wait a minute, there's something terribly wrong with this scenario. Because this is before cell phones. So it's not like I could just call them up and be like, hey, I'm at the bottom of the mountain and the cops won't let me up.
Correct.
I would have had
Correct.
to driven down to the town and found a payphone and all
Payphone.
that stuff. And so, which I could have done, but it still was one of those things that in that moment I felt like it was worth it to stand up and prove that I could stand up for
Hmm.
the way I was being treated. So I think that again, we choose, and hopefully, no matter what our choice is, it's not even about being right or wrong. It's about, did we learn the lesson that we chose to have?
Wow. 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 Tracy, we got 3 more minutes. I again a picture. You drew a picture for me. So I got the controlled bull. Now I have my list as I'm walking in the marketplace, and I'm good with this. I see something, I go, not on my list, bump that. I'm not even touching that. Stay focused, stay focused. Get my things, and then get out. It's knowing what's on your list. Wow, wow,
And sometimes you'll go to the market
wow,
and you'll find something that you
wow.
didn't even know you could put on your list.
Correct, correct.
Right?
But
Sometimes you'll be going along going, what's that? What's this we see? Tell me more
yeah,
about that. And we'll choose to invest our energy into it. And we didn't even know to put it
correct.
on our list. But now we
Yes.
have more data where we realize, oh, and then we're going to have an engagement with that thing we exchange with. And we'll
Mm,
find out more, kind of like my client with the job.
mm,
She didn't know this particular, she knew she just didn't want to have to hustle anymore, and she wanted to have a more stable position and not be an entrepreneur that always had to go chasing her next client, and so, but she didn't know this kind of thing existed. It kind of fell into her lap when she determined she wanted to do things a different way. And now
gotcha.
she's realizing, now she's engaged with it, yes, it got me out of the hustle, but it's not exactly what I want. So now how are we going to tweak things and go looking for something that maybe is more aligned to where her reality of experiences today?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Ah, I'm gonna carry my market list. I want to be a controlled bull in a China shop. Uh, Tracy, we have 6 more weeks to what, 2024?
Yeah.
Take us out of here. You got a minute?
Well, I think that's a good point. So, I say this all the time, I think our greatest superpower is our power of intention. So if you think about what is it that you're experiencing right now, what do you want to experience, and set some intention around that, for the next 2 weeks. It doesn't even have to be into next year.
Yes.
What do you want to, I'm going to go with your joy shirt. I am intentioning to create experiences that bring me joy, period.
Hey, Tracy, eavesdroppers, thank you so much on this EP 20 on the 20th day of November. We truly appreciate you. I think it ended nicely, started kind of rough. Tracy, good seeing you. See you in 2 weeks, and look forward to talking more.
Yeah,
Have a good
likewise,
one.
Wulwyn. Thank you, everyone.